Hi, I am Alberto and welcome to my workshop. In the second episode of Workshop Update we are going to talk about hand-cut dovetails. But we are not going to make a classic tutorial. I'm going to show you 4 tools that will improve or speed up your hand-cut dovetails. So let's go! Here is a quick summary of the jig and tools you will see today. The first tool is a layout tool. With this divider you will be able to trace the tails very fast without the use of other instruments. The second tool we are going to show you will be this magnetic guide. The first one is a 10 degrees dovetail guide and the second one is a 90-degree straight cut guide. Then, so we have seen layout, we have seen sewing. Now let's see the part of removing materials and waste, which is the longer and most boring in the process. I highly recommend the use of a fret saw. In this case is a new concept fret saw, which is able to remove material very close to the baseline we have traced. But even if we are very good with this, we will not be able to remove all the material with just this fret saw. So what I suggest is to create this jig, and this jig must be used with a handheld router, and with this we will be able to remove almost all the material up to the baseline, leaving just a tiny bit of waste to be removed with the chisel. But I highly recommend this jig if you're doing a big case work, because it's fast and very accurate. So let's talk about this divider. This tool is very handy in order to divide an area in equal parts. For dovetails it's great because it allows us to very quickly trace the space for the tails, and the most important thing is that no math will be inside this process. This tool is not extremely 100% precise, but is precise enough in order to be used to create the layout of the dovetails, and believe me, the result is pretty awesome. So here we have one of the biggest problem solver for all the beginners regarding dovetails, the magnetic guide. These magnetic guides are able to guide the woodworker to cut straight lines and to follow the lines while making the joint. This is very important because the main thing that stops a beginner woodworker when he is approaching the dovetails is the ability to follow a straight line with the saw. With this guide the problem is almost solved. They are very easy and cheap to make. I made a video in the past and I will leave the link in the information box, and the cost is just the purchase of these magnets. It's very easy. You can make whatever angle you want. Here we have a 10 degrees and a 90 degrees, and believe me, it's a game changer in the dovetail game. Of course there are some branded guides such as Veritas or Moses and David Barron, which are fantastic, but here I just show you that you can make one by yourself and be very effective in making dovetails. It's very important to say that using a dovetail guide is not meaning of 100% success. I'm going to explain myself better. This guide only allows you to follow a line and cut straight, which is great. But you need to understand how dovetails work. Let's suppose that we are going to make the tails first. We can cut the tails in the way we want. It's not important. But then we need to trace the pins from the tail. And by doing this we are going to use or a marking knife or a pencil. Well, when we are going to cut the pins, it's important to leave the line. Please leave that line. Otherwise, if you cut on the line or you remove entirely the line, you are going to have a loose joint, which is ugly and not practical. So please leave that line. Then if it's too tight, we are going to work with the chisel. But in the beginning, leave that line. Then you will understand on which wood it's better to remove a little bit more and on which wood it's better to leave a little bit more of that line. But for the first time, please leave that line. Okay, let's talk about waste removal, which is one of the most boring activity in making dovetail, especially when we are approaching the pins. If, as I recommend, we have made narrow pins and big tails, we will have a lot of material to remove while cutting the pins. And this is very boring, and if we have just to make it with a chisel, we can make a lot of mistakes passing the line we mark with a marking knife. So I strongly suggest to buy one of these. This is a new concept fret saw, and this particular model is great because it has the blade tilted 45 degrees, so we don't need to use it parallel to the piece, otherwise we will be limited by this, let's say, red structure, but we can use at 45 degrees, and basically we can cut unlimited dovetails in various size board. And this is great because otherwise, once again, if with the other models you have to use it parallel, you have to buy a very big model in order to work on bigger cases. The last tool that will absolutely improve and speed up the process of dovetail making is this simple jig. This simple jig is just 3 pieces of plywood and 1 piece of MDF. Here we have one piece of plywood plus 1 piece of MDF, which is shorter than the piece of plywood. This because here we need to see what we are going to cut with a handheld router. Here we have just 2 pieces of plywood, and as you can see we have different holes. Why? Because with this jig we will be able to handle pieces up to 40 cm and narrower pieces. So just moving this 10 mm bolt, we will be able to clamp different size of boards. And the jig is very simple. Here we'll run the handheld router, and the handheld router will clean the very last piece of waste that we have not been able to cut with the fret saw. It's easy, fast and very, very precise. So we have seen 4 tools that will instantly improve and speed up your dovetail technique. But by the 4, the most important, in my opinion, is the dovetail guide. Using a dovetail guide is not cheating, and to me it's not important if a piece of furniture is made freehand or with a magnetic guide, because to be honest, nobody will care. What really care is and really matter is the final result, and the final result will be exactly the same. Nobody will ask if you have used a dovetail jig. Important thing is that everybody understands the importance of making dovetail by hand, and please does not use those router dovetail jig which provide a very, very ugly result in terms of aesthetic. Of course, you can mimic the handmade look, narrow pins and large tails, also with machinery, but that's another topic. For this workshop update is everything. I hope that you enjoy. Please comment. Ciao a tutti and take care.